it's Alice and welcome to this reading vlog. So apparently, cozy fantasy is a thing, and I've never heard of that before, and I don't really know what it is, but I want to try it because that sounds amazing. I love all things cozy, and I love cozy mysteries, and I feel like cozy fantasy could just be like a fun alternative to that when I don't want to read about murder necessarily, and it just sounds so wholesome. I discovered this genre on BookTok, but I have seen it like slowly move its way over to BookTube, and I've seen a couple of booktubers try these kinds of books, and I just want to try it as well. I think it's gonna be really good, and I'm gonna try a couple of different things and see like what I like. I don't really know where to start, but I've just looked up some recommendations. I've seen quite a lot on BookTok. I've found a couple of people who like one of their main genres that they read is cozy fantasy, and I've just looked at some of those videos and seen what intrigues me the most. I'm thinking I'm gonna try 3 books for this video. 3 a little bit different ones, at least I think they're different, I don't really know. But I'm gonna start with the one that seems to be like most people's first book in this genre and one of the like quintessential ones. It's Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree, and it just sounds delightful. The story, as far as I know, is about an orc who was like a warrior, but then they're kind of tired of it. I think it's a she. She's tired of it, and so she wants to do something else with her life, and she goes to this magical city to open a coffee shop, but no one knows what coffee is in this world or in this city, and she has to like, I don't know, convince people to go drink coffee with her or come to her coffee shop. And then she teams up with someone, and I think she maybe has a romance with them, and I'm pretty sure it's a gay romance, which I'm really into, and that's all I really know. I don't know how much plot there's gonna be in these books, or if they're just like slice of life kind of stories. That's all I know, really, and I don't really have a lot of expectations for these books. Like, I'm gonna start with this one. I have a couple of more on the way that I'll show you when they get here, and I don't know. I just expect it to be wholesome. I think that's the only thing that I really expect. I don't know. It's like a whole new genre for me. I have read a fair amount of fantasy. Like, in my adult years, I'm mostly into like urban fantasy, but in my teens and early 20s, I read a lot of high fantasy, and I think the thing that makes it like cozy is that it's low stakes. And so there isn't like anything. Usually in fantasies, it's like there's war and there's a lot of conflict, and it's very much like a lot is on the line all the time. Whereas in this, it's just wholesome creatures living in a fantastical world, and we have like magical creatures, and that sounds really nice. The best case scenario for me with this is that I discover a new like comfort genre and a couple of like comfort books. I really like having those kinds of books to read every once in a while, because sometimes, like, I read a lot of different things, and some of the books I read are really heavy, and I think that these kinds of books can be like maybe kind of like a palate cleanser, and like perfect if you want something that is just very low key and doesn't take a lot out of you, which is what I usually get from like cozy mysteries. So I'm very excited. I hope, like, I just feel like it's gonna be perfect for me, but I'm also just like, I don't know what to expect. So I'm gonna take you along with me as I delve into this new comforting genre and see what I think. I hope that there's gonna be some stuff in these books that like inspire me to do something like cozy and wholesome. I hope that there's like some baking or something that inspires me to bake something myself. Like, I feel like that would be great. Like, reading one of these books and eating a piece of cake sounds great. I do realize that this is about a coffee shop, and maybe I should make some coffee, but the thing is I don't actually like coffee, so I might not do that. But in a lot of coffee shops there are also baked goods, so maybe we'll have some of that as well. So I could talk about this book for hours. I am so enthralled with it. I love it. I have had a week, all right? It's just been a lot, and I haven't had a lot of time to read. But then yesterday, I had read like 20 pages in this, and I really liked it. We were like introduced to some of the characters, and last night I was like, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna read this book, it's gonna be a great time. Hopefully, I really need it after this week. And I just read like half of it in one go, and I love it. I wonder where this genre has been all my life, because it's exactly what I need in my life, I feel. And this book is just delightful. It's so nice and cozy and easy to read and charming, and it's like the perfect break and escape from reality, but it's actually also quite good, and I'm just in love with it. To be totally honest with you, I don't entirely remember what I've told you about this book so far, but I can tell you about what I've read. The story follows this orc who is leaving her battle days behind. She's kind of worked as like a mercenary in a way, I think, and she's been traveling around with this band of creatures, and she wants to quit that life, and she discovered coffee in this goblin town or gnome town, I don't remember, but she discovered coffee and she loves it, and so she wants to open a coffee shop in this particular city. And she goes there and she uses some sort of magic to find the right place, and she buys it, and she it's very slice of life, this book, but it's lovely. And she finds this carpenter person, and he's like a very strange little creature who's very good at his job, and they renovate this I think it used to be a livery, and they're making it into a coffee shop. Like I mentioned though, coffee isn't a well-known thing, no one knows what it is, and this carpenter keeps calling it bean water because he doesn't know what it is. And eventually they finish up the shop, and this orc puts out an ad to get someone to come work with her, and there's this funny little succubus type creature who comes in and wants to work there, and she's really good at art, and she's good at because this orc has wanted to open this coffee shop for a long time. It's her dream, but she didn't really think of how to get customers into the shop, and this helper person helps her with that, and they become quite good friends. And then my favorite thing happens, and I'm obsessed with this character. They discover that maybe they should have more than just coffee and a latte, and those are the two things that they sell. So they the orc approaches this rat type creature that has flour on him, and she wonders if he's a baker, and she's like, do you want to come work here and maybe bake something for us? And he brings in the cinnamon roll of his life to these people, and they're blown away, and they hire him, and he keeps making these cinnamon rolls, and everyone loves them, and he is the sweetest little creature I have ever read about, and I am obsessed with him. Actually, in the end papers in this book, we have this illustration, and these are the characters. I'll maybe put in some close-ups if you can't see, but this is the orc and the succubus, and then down here is the little rat person, or a ratkin as he's called in the book, and it's the sweetest thing. I'm pretty sure this is the cover of one of the other editions, but I love that it's in here, and I can just picture this coffee shop so well, and I'm I feel like this sounds a little bit ridiculous when I'm explaining the book, but I am obsessed with this. There is also a little bit of intrigue. So there are some little things going on. There's a gang in this town that wants the orc to pay them for some reason. I think that's just gang-like behavior. And she really doesn't want to do it, and she's trying to find a way to avoid it, but everyone tells her that these people are quite dangerous. But she's obviously really big and she knows how to fight. But they could burn down her coffee shop, obviously, and she couldn't do much about it. So she's trying to figure out, like, where I'm at in the book now. She's trying to figure out what to do with that. And also, the succubus, I don't remember anyone's names. I literally read this yesterday, but that's just me who forgets everybody's names. Like, when I meet someone for the first time, the name doesn't even register with me. It just goes away. The orc's name is Viv. And I'm pretty sure the succubus is named something beginning with a T. Her name is Tandri, and she also seems to have some like secrets in her past, and it seems to have something to do with the university in town. There's also a university student who keeps coming into the shop, and he doesn't like coffee and he doesn't want anything, but he has to buy something to sit there, and he just wants to sit there for his research, which I don't really understand. And then the rat is named Thimble, and he doesn't seem to have a lot of issues. He does seem a little anxious. He only speaks in like maybe 3 words at a time and very, very quietly. He's obsessed with coffee though, which I love. Like, one of the main reasons he wants to work there is that he gets free coffee all the time. And Viv immediately thinks like, I have to make sure that he doesn't work himself to death because the cinnamon rolls keep like selling out, and he wants to make them for everyone because he is the sweetest. And I also love that when he started working there, he's quite small, and Viv is quite big because she's an orc, and he doesn't speak much, and so he'll go up to her and like pull at her, whatever this is called, sleeve, and like drag her around to town to find the right ingredients. And it's just so sweet. Another really lovely detail about this book is that every single chapter has this little like illustration by the chapter, and they're all different. And this is just one of those things that it's just a small thing, but it's lovely. I love when publishers do this, and when you notice it, it's just the sweetest little thing. It's just a very sweet book, and I love it. Now, I do feel like I thought that I was gonna like this book, but I am surprised by how much I'm loving it and how invested I am in it. I actually do think it is a good book, and I really honestly care so much about the characters in here. So much that I am a little worried about that gang that is going around, and I really hope that no one gets hurt. And I like really care about the characters, which is one of my favorite things. I love good characters in books, and I just care about these so much. If anyone hurts them, I will come for them. I really just want to keep going with this. I managed to read up until page 159 yesterday, and it's very easygoing, it's very quick to read, and it's about 300 pages, so I have about half left, and I really want to finish it this weekend. Unfortunately, I have stuff that I need to do, and it's like fun stuff, but I also just kind of want to stay home and read this book. But I'm going to a concert today, and then tomorrow I'm going to my niece's birthday party, so a kid's birthday party, and that is going to take up a lot of my weekend, but I hope that I'm going to be able to finish this. It's really all I want to do, is just to read this wonderful book. Now, I think I mentioned that I hoped that there would be something in these books that would inspire me to like do some baking or something like that. And like I mentioned, our dear little rat named Thimble in here bakes these amazing cinnamon rolls. And I'm actually baking something tomorrow, in part because I want to do some baking, and in part because my sister requested that I bake something for this birthday party. And I'm not going to make cinnamon rolls, I'm going to make vanilla rolls, which is exactly the same thing, except instead of using cinnamon, you use vanilla, and they're delicious. So I'm gonna do that. I might do some more baking later in this vlog if I feel like it. I kind of, all of these baked buns are gonna go mostly to other people, and I kind of want to like bake something for myself. And also, I had a hope that I would like bake something and eat it while I was reading this, and I won't be able to do that because I think I'm gonna finish this before I go to that birthday party. I do want a little bit of a snack while I'm reading this though, so I actually treated myself to some of these things. These are macaroons or macaroons, depending on how you pronounce it. I don't quite know. And they don't have these in the book, but I'm pretty sure Thimble, if he wanted to, he could make these. So it has no connection to this book, but I'm connecting it anyway. I actually love these things. I eat them very rarely, but I love them. And I woke up today and I was just like, I want some of these, so I just ordered some. And I love the color scheme in here. I know I picked these myself, but like the colors are very pleasing to me. So I really think what I'm gonna do now is read this book and eat some of these, and it's gonna be great. I really can't stress enough how much I adore this book though. It's so wonderful, and I kind of never want it to end, but I also can't stop reading it because I just love it so much. This is easily 5 out of 5 stars. I don't know what else to give it. It was amazing and I loved it. So I'm gonna give it 5 stars. It's my first 5-star read of 2023 and I just absolutely adored it. It was so good and so enjoyable and heartwarming. Having finished this though, I realized that this might not actually be my first cozy fantasy. I thought about this a little bit, and the book that I read last year, which was one of my favorite books that I read in 2022, was Garlic and the Vampire. I'm pretty sure these two books are sort of in the same genre. That's also cozy fantasy, I would say. It's a graphic novel, so it's a little bit different, but I gave that 5 out of 5 stars too, so those are the two books that I'm aware of that I've read in the cozy fantasy genre, and apparently this genre is definitely for me. Having finished this though, and having absolutely loved it, I have to read some more, and luckily I got a package a couple of days ago that I haven't opened yet with the other 2 books that I'm gonna read for this vlog, so let's open it. I don't entirely know why these 2 books were in such a big package, but I got these 2 books. This one is a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. So I got this, which is a graphic novel, and I just wanted to have some different kinds of cozy fantasy, and I don't know if this is, like, I feel like this is for a younger audience now that I'm looking at it, but maybe I'm wrong. I have heard about this book before, which is why I decided to pick it up. I've seen someone review it, and they loved it. It's a charming fairy tale about Greta, an adventurous blacksmith apprentice, and the people she meets as she becomes entwined in the enchanting world of tea dragons. I think maybe this is a dragon. The only, like, I really want to read this and I'm looking forward to it. It just looks a little younger than maybe I remembered, but the art looks pretty amazing. There seems to be all kinds of different, like, creatures in here, and there's a little cat, and yeah, it looks really good. I'm excited to read this, especially since I loved Garlic and the Vampire. I feel like maybe cozy fantasy in graphic novel form can really work for me, so I'll be reading this, and then I got another novel, which I have very high hopes for, and this cover is amazing. I love this kind of art, and I love when they put it on the back as well, and there are little, like, details. I did research this before I got it, but now I can't remember what it's about, but it seems to be slightly longer and a little bit more dense than this, so I wonder how I'll fare with this. Reading the back here, it seems to be about this person who joins the staff of the king and queen of this magical land, and no one knows where he comes from or what he is, but it appears that he has some sort of magical powers, and he has a kitten familiar named Kraken, which I love, and I guess the court discovers his powers and something happens. There's also something about his love life, which I forgot to mention. There is like a slight bit of romance in this. I think I mentioned this in the very beginning, but there is a little bit of like a hint of romance in this, and I absolutely loved it. Me, who never likes romance really, absolutely loved it. It seems to be a little bit of like love in here as well. I don't really know. I think I'm just gonna go into this and see. Maybe because this main character is a cook, we can do some more cooking or baking or something. Also, since this is about tea, I should probably at some point brew some tea for myself, which I like tea, so that's perfect. And yeah, I think this main character is just a witch. It says, this is typical me. I start reading this part and I try to summarize it, but the summary is literally here. It says, a heartwarming and humorous blend of fantasy, romance, and mystery, featuring a witch with domestic powers and the royal household he serves ... dinner. I will say the only thing about this is that it is longer and like denser than I had thought, and hopefully it's like an easy kind of quick read. I hope it's just, I just want something entertaining and heartwarming, and I just want this basically. So I'm gonna read this and we'll see how it goes. To be honest, I don't know which one of these I'm gonna start with. I might read like this a little bit and then read this and then this, I don't know. But I'll be reading both and I'm sure it's gonna be a great time. I really have to go get about my day now. I need to do the baking that I talked about yesterday, and I need to get over to my sister's house. I have like a million things that I need to bring. So I need to get organized and go do that, and then hopefully this evening I will get to do some reading. So it's actually been a while, which you won't notice, but now you know, and I have made some really good progress on this book. I went on a little trip like a week ago and I got quite a lot of reading done, but no filming. So I've read almost this entire book without updating you, but you know, it was just really good and I was really enjoying it, and it just flew by. I am again in the position where I don't remember what I've told you about this book, but I'm gonna tell you about what I've read. The story is about this witch who goes to this, like, I guess it's one of the big cities or the capital city in this kingdom, and he starts working as the cook, the royal cook for the king and queen and everyone who lives in the castle where he starts working. At the very beginning of the story, we're introduced to him as he arrives to take this job, and our main character, the cook, is a bit of a... he's kind of rude and he doesn't get along with everyone, and immediately when he arrives, he's just like, this is how we're gonna do it, this is how I want to do it, and it rubs everyone the wrong way, and he's a little mysterious. And the reason that he is a little bit mysterious and the reason he's like trying to keep other people out of the kitchen is that he is a house witch, and that means that he can do like house magic, and he uses it for his cooking, so he doesn't really need a whole lot of help. And in this world, witches are like accepted, but that's a very new thing, and like a while back they were hunted and he's just a little bit worried about what people are gonna think if they find out that he's a witch. He's just very grumpy, and he is like, there is obviously nobility in this castle, and like the king and the queen, and you're supposed to talk to them with respect, and he doesn't always do that. But he is an amazing cook, and because of that, a lot of people forgive him for his transgressions. And like, one of the things that his abilities give him the ability to do is to make people feel comfortable, and he can understand like instinctively what people want and what they crave, and all of that is just very lovely. And I love all of the food and like the descriptions of it, and how it makes people feel all safe and warm and cozy, and all of that is just, it's been so lovely to read about. I really like the main character and the development that he's had so far, and I really like all of the other characters as well. There is also a slight bit of romance in here, which is like, I have about 70 pages-ish left, and it seems like that's like something is happening with that. And I'm not super invested in the romance, I will say, but it is a pretty big part of the story, and I get it. I think it's just me who's not like super invested, but I do really like them because both of them are like really grumpy and stubborn, and they just really like each other, and it is kind of cute. There really are a lot of things that I am loving about this book. Like, I'm really enjoying it. It is definitely like, it's a cozy fantasy, but it is a slightly like higher stakes. There's a lot more going on in here. Like, there's a lot of history, and there's like a budding war, which obviously makes it slightly higher stakes. And although that's not the focus, it's pretty clear that something is gonna happen with that. And there's a lot of political intrigue, and there is also like conflict in that witches aren't accepted by everyone, and there's a conflict between witches and mages who are different. Like, witches are born with abilities in this world, and mages have to learn it. And there is definitely more like meat to the story in that way, and it makes it slightly higher stakes, but it doesn't feel like things are gonna go awry. It does feel like things are gonna work out. I also really like the magic system. Like, the main magic system is like elemental magic, and so most witches are like, they have an affinity to one of the elements. And then there are people who are deficient witches or mutant witches who have different kinds of abilities, like our main character, who is a house witch. And it's really nice. I also really like the fact that the main character is a man and he is a house witch. I think that's very like sweet. I like that that's his thing, and he loves it. Like, he just loves making people feel at peace, and it's all about the home and like protecting the home, and it's very just lovely. It is, though, like I think I mentioned, a longer book than Legends and Lattes, obviously. It's like 450 pages, and there is a lot of text to the page, and it is a slower book in a lot of ways. I've really enjoyed that like slowness, and I've enjoyed that there are scenes that are like cozy and not necessarily super necessary, but I've really enjoyed it. Like, I've really liked sitting down with this and just getting into this world, and I can really picture this whole like town and like the kitchen, and it just makes me feel all warm and fuzzy, and it's a little bit whimsical and just very charming. I do wonder, though, what's gonna happen in these last 70 pages, because there's a lot going on, and I don't really see how all of it is gonna be like resolved in only 70 pages with the pace being the way that it is. And so I'm wondering what's gonna happen in the final 70 pages. It is the first book in a series, so maybe it'll be like end on a cliffhanger or something. I don't know, but I'm gonna keep reading now and see. And my plan for the day is to finish this book and then read the other book and then finish this vlog, because I kind of want to get this video up today. And I think it's gonna be great. I'm surprised at how good this like reading vlog is going. Like I'm really enjoying everything. So I hope I'm gonna enjoy the last book as well. I don't imagine that I won't, because it's the cutest thing ever. Now, because I am me, I was hoping that this book was gonna inspire me to do some cooking, and it kind of does, but I also don't feel like cooking a lot today. I had like plans to do some baking and stuff like that, and I don't know if I'm in the mood for it. So I am gonna make some lunch. I made some like broth yesterday to make soup, and you know, it turned out very well. I'm apparently at an age where a good broth really does it for me. But I'm gonna make some like chicken noodle soup for lunch. I might do that now actually, and it does fit with this book in a way because all of the food is like so comforting and it makes you feel all like warm and fuzzy, and it's like what you crave. And I love a good soup. Like I'm one of those soup people. I just think it's the best thing. And so I'm gonna make some soup and then finish this book, and then I'll check in with you and we'll start the next book. I do want like something sweet, and I don't feel like making anything, so I don't know. We'll figure something out, but I'm gonna go finish this book and eat some delicious soup. That soup was really good, and it made me feel pretty much the same way this book makes me feel, which is warm and fuzzy and cozy. I just think this was lovely, and the way it's described on the back, which is a heartwarming and humorous blend of fantasy, romance, and mystery, is very much a great way to sum this book up, which is probably why it's on the back here. I really enjoyed it. I was kind of right in that it didn't manage to like wrap up everything by the end. This is very clearly like the first book in a series, and it very clearly leads up to the sequel, which luckily is already out, and I'm gonna get myself a copy of that very quickly because I want to know what happens, and I want to have more of this cozy and lovely world. I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 5 stars. For a while there, I thought it was gonna be another 5-star read, which would have been like, that would have been crazy because I very rarely give out 5 stars, but it's gonna be like a solid 4. If I gave out like 0.5, it would be 4.5. There are a couple of like little things that it's not like a big deal, but I just noticed it, and it means that it's not quite a 5-star read for me, but my god did I enjoy this. It was just very entertaining, and I just really liked it. It was right up my alley, and there were so many lovely characters, and I love the main characters. I also forgot to mention, I think, that there is a cat that is a familiar in here that I love, and we get a couple of chapters from the cat's perspective, and there's like a gang in the city that he is like making friends with because he wants information from them so he can help his human, and it is the cutest thing ever. The attitude of this cat is just lovely, and I'm guessing that's maybe this cat actually, and he's also on the back here. I just absolutely love it. There are a couple of like little things with the writing in here that just I noticed. I feel like maybe there are some things that like slipped through the edit, and it probably should have been corrected. And then there are a few things where I guess I shouldn't fault the book for having like spelling errors and stuff, but there are a couple of them in here, and I usually don't really notice. But I have seen reviews of other people saying they also noticed. I actually can't figure out if this book is self-published or not. It might be, but it is published by Podium. So I don't know, but I think it could have maybe used with one more round of like small edits, and then I do think it is just like a little bit too long. A little bit. And I don't know. There are just a couple of things, but like overall, I'm very, very impressed with this, and I really, really enjoyed it. I can't wait to read the sequel, but now I'm going to be moving on to the final book, which is this, The Tea Dragon Society, which is a very short book. It should not take me a long time at all, and it looks just lovely. I don't entirely know what this story is about, but I'm assuming there are small dragons that have something to do with tea. But I'm not going to look into it too much because I'm just going to read it. It's like 74 pages or something, and it's going to be great. It's a great like way to end my weekend, I feel. The art in here is very, very pretty, and I spy some dragons that I love. Now, I have a massive sweet tooth. Like, I love anything sweet at all times of the day, and to be honest, I don't really, like, I'm not in the mood for tea, but I am in the mood for cake, always. And I did flip through here to see if they eat anything, and I did spy a couple of like snacks, which makes me feel like that it's like a good excuse for me to get myself a snack. And like I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned this actually, but I don't feel like baking anything today. All I really want to do is read and eat. And that's what I'm gonna do. As a solution to my conundrum of wanting something and not wanting to make it myself, I'm gonna take a little bit of inspiration from the main character in this book, and voila, the magic of getting things delivered. I don't entirely know how I feel about the fact that I just did that, but I've always wanted to try it, so this was a good opportunity. I got myself some cupcakes though, and I cannot wait to eat these. These are from a place in Oslo that I absolutely love. They make the most beautiful cupcakes. I also really like the fact that the box matches my nails, which doesn't matter at all. But let me show you these. Now, you may be thinking, 4 cupcakes is a lot for one person. These are quite big as well and very filling. They are delicious though. And I got 4 because I have a friend coming over later, and I thought, maybe I'll like get a couple for her. To be honest, I might be able to just eat these myself. People who, like, I can eat a whole box of donuts by myself, no problem. So, maybe I'll save one for her, but I might just eat these myself. Now, the one that I got because of this book, and the thing that made me think of these cupcakes, is that in this book there is a gardener who is also like a witch, and he has this like greenhouse, and he has lemon trees in the greenhouse. I realize this is a stretch, but just bear with me. This is a lemon cupcake. So I felt like it was like a good like connection to this. And then we have a carrot cupcake, s'mores, and Nutella/chocolate, and oh my god, do I love sweet things. I am gonna have a grand time eating these and reading that book. It is literally gonna be the most perfect half hour I've had in a long time, and I'm very excited. So I'm gonna go do that, and then we'll talk about that book in a little bit, and then talk about all of the books and wrap it all up. And this is a very good ending to this vlog, I feel. Okay, let's wrap it all up, shall we? It took me maybe 20 minutes to read this. It was a very quick read, and it's very, very cute. The art is beautiful. I love the little dragons. It's a very simple story, so there isn't that much to it. It was just like a nice little read, very enjoyable. I think my favorite part about this book is definitely the art, and then at the end here, you can read about like the dragons and tea dragons and how they live, and you get to like look at different types of tea dragons, which I thought was really cute. I would have maybe loved having more of this to like maybe in the story in a way. I don't know how you would do that, but I could read a whole book just about different types of these cute dragons, and it's overall just a very cute book. I think I probably prefer slightly more to a story than this, and it is probably for a slightly younger audience, but you gotta take these things for what it is, and I feel like it is what it promised it would be. It was very, very sweet, and I liked all of the different people and the creatures, and yeah, I would give this maybe 4 out of 5 or 3 out of 5. It's somewhere in between there, but I really enjoyed it, and I would reread it because it's very sweet. Out of the 3, this is definitely the lightest, followed by this, and then by this, although they're all very cozy books. I would say out of all of the books that I read, these 2 are my favorites. This is probably my favorite, but there are things in this that I would have liked to see in this in a way. I think I love this for what it is, and I stand by my 5-star rating, but there could be more meat to the story in a way, and this has more to it definitely, but there are some issues with this one, like small ones that made me not be able to give it 5 stars, but like overall I would say that this reading experience was a success. I do think these are the kinds of books where you have to go in to them with a certain attitude, like they are cozy and they are lighter, and that is what you're gonna get. It's not gonna get like super serious in any sort of way, and that goes with these as well. The most serious out of the 3 is this one, but this is still quite light and just very enjoyable. This one is like I read a review of this that said that they didn't like it because nothing happens in it, and the only thing is that they kind of discover how to make iced coffee, and that is what it is. So if that's not your thing, this is not the book for you. For this one, I read a really funny review on Goodreads that just said, it's like Ratatouille without the rat. And I feel like that's a very good way of describing it, and I really, really liked it. I do think this is the first in a series as well, although I don't know what would follow this, but for this one, definitely, I'm very curious as to what happens in the second book. Like I mentioned, it is already out, and so I'll be getting myself a copy, and yeah. This went really well. I can't remember the last time I did a reading vlog and I read something that I was like pretty unfamiliar with, and it went this well. So I'm very happy. I guess I shouldn't really be surprised, seeing as I love other cozy things also in books. Like one of my favorite other genres is cozy mysteries, and I know that there's a lot of people who read mysteries who do not like cozy mysteries, but I like all of it. And apparently I also like fantasy and cozy fantasy, and I'm maybe more surprised with the fantasy because when I read other types of fantasy, I kind of like it when it's really, really dark. Although when I think about it, most of the mystery books that I like the most are also really, really dark. So I guess I sort of like both ends of the spectrum. I am thrilled though that this is a thing. Like cozy fantasy is on the rise and people really like it, and I think it's one of my new favorite genres. It's just delightful to read, and I like books that just give you a little bit of a break and it's just super enjoyable. I love like heavy, complicated kinds of books as well, but I also love really simple books and just super enjoyable books. So again, both ends of the spectrum. And this is just kind of what my reading is like. I just like a little bit of everything, but I do love the coziness mixed with the fantasy. Like, it's just so good. I think that is going to be it for this vlog though. Loved these books, really enjoyed them, and I might do another one of these vlogs since this one went so well, and like try other kinds of cozy fantasy books. If any of you have any recommendations, let me know, because I would love to hear about more. I have seen a lot of cozy fantasy books on TikTok, but a lot of them talk about the same books, and I'm not interested in all of them. So if any of you have any recommendations, it doesn't have to be something that is like classified as cozy fantasy. Maybe it's just something that you feel is cozy fantasy. I would love to hear about it. I think because the genre is not new, but it's like a new thing that people are interested in it. I don't think all of those books have been discovered and categorized as cozy fantasy. So if you have any recommendations, let me know, and I might read them for the next vlog if I do one. I should definitely do it, because I can read the sequel to this. I don't think there is a sequel to this, but there is going to be one. I can also read the second Garlic and the Vampire book, which I think is called Garlic and the Witch. And yeah, I really just want to read loads of these kinds of books. If you have read any of these books though, I would love to hear what you thought. I know that some people really don't like these kinds of books, which is totally fine. I read some really funny reviews of like both of these ones where they, like whoever wrote the review really didn't like them. And it's kind of funny because all of the things that I like about them are things that other people don't like. And I kind of get it, but it's definitely for me. So if any of you have read any of these books, I would love to hear what you thought. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for hanging out with me today, and I will see you soon. Bye!